October 23, 2025, a massive Atlantic storm, known as Storm Benjamin, came crashing into France and the Netherlands. What followed was chaos unlike anything Western Europe had seen in years. Winds roared across the coast, reaching speeds close to 100 miles per hour, ripping trees from the ground, tearing roofs apart, and sending debris flying through the air. In France alone, more than 140,000 homes lost power within hours. Streets went dark, trains stopped running, flights were grounded, and highways turned into danger zones littered with fallen trees. By the time Benjamin swept into the Netherlands, weather officials issued a code orange alert, their second highest warning, urging everyone to stay indoors and avoid travel. The sound outside wasn't just wind anymore. It was the voice of nature reminding everyone who's really in charge. Before sunrise, the storm struck France's Atlantic coast with brutal force. Winds between 75 and 95 miles per hour battered coastal towns. Waves crashed over seawalls, flooding streets and homes. People described the noise as something out of a nightmare, like a freight train roaring past their houses non-stop. As daylight broke, power outages spread like wildfire. Traffic lights went dark, emergency crews rushed to clear the debris, and the usually calm French countryside turned into a scene of chaos. By mid-morning, Benjamin had already reached the Netherlands. Wind gusts near 75 miles per hour slammed coastal communities. Authorities immediately shut down high-speed trains and canceled flights at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. For millions across Western Europe, Storm Benjamin wasn't just another storm. It was a harsh reminder of how quickly calm skies can turn into a fight for survival. It started like any other chilly fall morning, but by afternoon, everything changed. Across busy train stations, commuters stood frozen, watching departure boards fill up with canceled signs. In the coastal town of Yeka, waves climbed over the harbor edge, swallowing cars and flooding entire streets. Authorities pleaded with residents to stay indoors, to keep away from the woods, the shoreline, and anywhere the wind howled strongest. What was supposed to be a regular autumn storm had turned into a full-blown national emergency, one that no one could ignore. As night fell, life across France and the Netherlands shifted from caution to survival. Families huddled together in the dark as the power went out. The wind roared like a freight train, shaking rooftops and slamming against windows. Some gusts reached nearly 90 miles per hour, enough to rattle even the strongest homes. Emergency lines were jammed. In France's western coast, thousands of homes lost electricity within hours. Fallen trees and downed power lines made rescue operations nearly impossible. Firefighters were forced to move on foot, guided only by flashlights through flooded streets. In small towns, people lit candles and waited, not knowing when help would arrive. Over in the Netherlands, the storm's fury tore through neighborhoods. Bicycles, once neatly parked, now lay scattered across the roads. Street signs twisted in the wind. In one town, a massive tree crashed down on a parked car, just minutes after its driver had stepped out. Along the harbor, seawater surged through roads, swallowing entire lanes and partially submerging vehicles. But even in the middle of all that chaos, there was humanity. Neighbors knocked on doors to check on the elderly. Strangers cleared debris from doorsteps. And in Amsterdam, locals opened their homes to travelers with nowhere to go. Storm Benjamin may have been powerful, but the people facing it were stronger. Experts say the storm's intensity came from a perfect storm of factors: shifting air pressure, powerful winds, and unusually warm ocean temperatures that gave the system more energy than anyone expected. This wasn't just a storm. It was a reminder that nature's strength is unpredictable, but human resilience is unshakable. Meteorologists are calling Storm Benjamin a weather bomb. That's when a storm explodes in strength, its air pressure dropping sharply in less than a day. Over the Atlantic, ocean waters were unusually warm for late October, sitting above 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That warmth gave Benjamin all the fuel it needed: extra energy, extra moisture, and a dangerous boost in power. As the storm pushed toward land, it clashed with a pocket of cold air hanging over Western Europe. The collision turned Benjamin into a monster system, spreading fast and growing stronger by the hour. France's coastline stood no chance. Its wide-open plains gave the winds room to run. Wild gusts between 75 and 95 miles per hour tore through several regions. Some exposed spots, like Corsica and the mountain ranges, saw winds blowing well past 100 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the Netherlands was dealing with its own nightmare. Low-lying land and tight channels made the country extremely vulnerable to both high winds and flooding. Some places saw nearly a month's worth of rain in under 24 hours. The ground couldn't take it. rivers swelled, and flash floods tore through communities near the Alps and Central Europe. Scientists say this isn't just bad luck. It's part of a dangerous trend. Storms are growing stronger, faster, and harder to predict. Benjamin wasn't just another storm, it was a warning. As Benjamin unleashed its fury, France and the Netherlands launched massive emergency responses. More than 7,000 first responders hit the ground, firefighters, medics, police, even the military, working non-stop through the night. They cleared fallen trees, restored power, and tried to reach families trapped by flooding and debris. France's high-speed rail network came to a standstill. TGV routes were shut down, and thousands of travelers were left stranded. Trains around Paris faced major delays or full cancellations. In the Netherlands, high-speed rail between Amsterdam and Breda was also halted as 75 miles per hour winds made the power lines too dangerous. Air travel wasn't spared either. Dozens of flights were canceled or rerouted at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport and Paris Charles de Gaulle. Storm Benjamin may have passed, but the message it left behind is crystal clear. The planet is changing, and so are the storms that come with it. Airports turned into makeshift shelters as travelers slept on benches and terminal floors. Airport staff handed out blankets, snacks, and water to help those stranded through the long night. Across towns and cities, schools, gyms, and community centers opened their doors to anyone who couldn't stay home because of power outages or storm damage. Local officials urged everyone to stay inside, avoid wooded areas, and keep far from the coast, where floodwaters still posed serious danger. Weather agencies across Europe repeated one urgent warning: don't underestimate this storm. Your safety depends on the choices you make. When daylight finally broke, Western Europe woke up to devastation. Streets were littered with fallen trees, shattered windows, and pieces of torn rooftops. More than 140,000 homes in France were still without power, and thousands more in the Netherlands faced blackouts that could last for days. Utility crews worked around the clock, warning residents to stay away from downed power lines. Damaged transformers made restoration slow and dangerous. Public transport was in chaos, rail lines blocked by debris, stations closed, and schedules completely disrupted. At the airports, the chaos continued. Flights were canceled or delayed, terminals were packed with sleeping passengers, and communication was limited. Coastal towns were hit the hardest. Homes flooded, cars were swept away, and some neighborhoods were left under waist-deep water. In the countryside, farmers faced heartbreaking losses, destroyed crops, collapsed barns, and overturned equipment. But in the middle of all this destruction, something powerful began to happen. Communities came together. Volunteers showed up with hot meals, flashlights, and blankets. Neighbors helped neighbors. Even through the storm's aftermath, the human spirit refused to break. When the skies finally cleared, people stepped outside to help one another. Neighbors worked together to clear driveways, check on the elderly, and make sure everyone was safe. Online groups came alive with volunteers sharing food, shelter, and rides for those who'd lost everything. There was a sense of relief that the death toll was low, but for many families, the real challenge had just begun. Rebuilding homes, healing from the fear, and trying to move forward after so much loss would take months, maybe years. Storm Benjamin wasn't just a storm, it was a wake-up call. In just one day, it managed to shut down major transport routes, knock out power for more than 140,000 homes, flood towns, and show just how fragile modern life really is when nature decides to strike back. For people in the United States watching this unfold, it might have felt far away. But scientists are warning that the same climate shifts fueling Europe's violent storms, warmer oceans, unstable jet streams, and unpredictable weather patterns are now intensifying hurricanes and extreme storms across America too. From Florida to New York, from the Gulf Coast to California, no coastline is safe anymore. Storms are moving faster, carrying more rain, and leaving behind more destruction than ever before. And the truth is, our cities, our systems, our old ways of building weren't made for this new reality. Europe learned that lesson overnight, and the US could be next if we don't pay attention. But amid all the chaos, one thing stood out: resilience. People stood shoulder to shoulder. They protected one another. First responders worked tirelessly, often through the night, just to keep others alive. That unity, that strength, is what turns disaster into recovery. The storm may be over, but the warning it left behind still echoes. Preparation isn't optional anymore. Awareness isn't enough. It's time for action, because nature's not waiting for us to catch up. As the winds finally died down and the skies cleared, Storm Benjamin left behind more than just flooded streets and snapped power lines. It left a message the world can't ignore. In just one night, a single storm, powered by our changing climate, managed to shake two nations. Families were forced from their homes, flights were grounded, lives were turned upside down in moments no one expected. But here's the truth. After every storm, we face a choice. Do we move on and forget once the news cycle ends? Or do we learn before the next disaster strikes? For Europe, Benjamin will go down in the history books. For the United States, it's a warning shot. From brutal East Coast nor'easters to California's atmospheric rivers, and those massive Category 5 hurricanes hammering the Gulf, the signs are everywhere. Extreme weather isn't slowing down. It's changing, growing, and testing how ready we really are. If there's one message Benjamin leaves behind, it's this: storms don't wait for us to be prepared. We have to act before they hit. So, if this story struck a chord with you, don't just scroll past it. Hit the like button to help spread awareness, share this video to wake others up, and subscribe for more powerful, real-world disaster stories and global reports that matter.